guys, welcome back to Sierra Reads, where I read. And I love to talk about books, love to yap. Today I thought we can build my TBR cult and finally find a home for, yeah, you can't really see it, for all these books in this big black bag. Today we're gonna build, and then as I put my books on, we can talk about all of my physical TBR books. Let's get to building and then yapping about books. Only took me 27 minutes, but get out! Y'all ready? Load this baby up. Time to talk about my entire physical TBR. First, you have Speak to Me of Home. I think this is like one of those books where you go present point of view and past point of view. You have her mom kind of thinking about her life choices and what led her to where she is now. And then you also have the hurricane that kind of really messed up the island. I'm really interested in this. I really love learning about Latinx cultures because I'm Mexican and I just love exploring different cultures and what people struggle with, how their life goes. First book on the TBR. Wildlife. I haven't had this. I've been trying to read it for so long. It's just like a silly little romance book, but he's trying to start a zoo. It's just a silly little quick read. I was hoping to get to this summer just because it is so quick. I could probably finish it in like a day, knowing me. On romance, this is Fake Dating. I think that's all I know about it. I know it's fake dating. I think it's Fake Dating and X, and then it's like a celebrity romance, which, if you notice the books I read, I really like celebrity romances. And then in my first video, you guys saw me read Striker. This is the first book I got. Also, hold up, I need to show you guys something. Look at this. Isn't that so cute? But I'm kind of hesitant because the more I hear about Anna Huang, I don't think she's the author for me. But we'll give it a go because I was really interested in the brother story. Summertime Punchline. This is actually a reread for me. I read this 2 summers ago. Absolutely devoured it. Loved it. It did take me a little bit to read because I wasn't doing reading back then. Essentially a comedian. Her whole life starts falling apart and she has nowhere to go. So she just goes back to her grandma's house, which is who raised her. And then she falls in love. I think they knew each other when they were children. And it's like a past present point of view, which is my favorite kind of romance. Also, look at how pretty this is. This is the book that made me fall in love with Betty Carrillo. This is her debut. The Fastest Way to Fall. She's a body positive, athletic influencer. The reviews on this are great. So, and I was in my running era when I picked this up. I was like, me and her, we're one and the same. I need to get back into my running era. There's a book that probably pretty much everyone and their mother knows about. Quicksilver. I got this at TJ Maxx. I picked it up because everybody talks about it and I need to know what it's about. Originally I thought he was a vampire. Recently I learned he's a fairy. So that's what I gotta say about Quicksilver. This is A River Enchanted by Rebecca Ross. A thing I keep doing is buying the unpopular books from author, and then like I don't feel like reading them because I don't see the hype behind it. So that's one of these. I'm just kind of hesitant. Sometimes I really love lyrical writing, and I know that Rebecca Ross, that's what she's known for. That's why I picked this one up. And also, it's only a duology, so that's great. This is Foundry Side. I got this as a part of my birthday big book binge. I can't get to the bookstore all the time, so I like to buy a lot of books at once. Makes my life a little easier. This was a part of that. And for my birthday, I literally just threw things in the cart and walked out. The way it was advertised on the display was it was a heist fantasy, which I can't say that I've read any heist fantasies. So I'm very interested about that. And Enchantment of Ravens, absolutely zero clue what this is about. I think those fairies. Also, I'm kind of anti-fairy. I don't know if that's just me, but like, that feels like the most boring type of fantasy. I'm gonna give this a go because it's so short. I feel like you really have to like think through your fairies if you're gonna give me fairies. Next book we have is The Mountain and the Sea. I believe this is literary, maybe a little bit of sci-fi. Essentially, humans discover that octopuses have their own underground world, and you kind of explore that with them. Ellen Hildebrand, Summer of 69. This is, I believe, one of her more popular books. It's about these, I think it's 4 siblings, but they're essentially kind of trying to figure their way around this tumultuous world in 1969. which is why it's called the Sum of 69. And they all come to this island on Nantucket, which is Elton Hildebrand's favorite place to write about. I have a feeling I would love it just because the stakes are so high. We have this duology, Aristotle and Dante discover the secrets of the universe. Actually, fun fact, I bought this probably 6 years ago. I started reading it, I'm like, I feel like I'm missing something. It wasn't until last summer then I realized this is the first book in the series. This is very character driven, so I tried reading it last summer. I just couldn't get into it because I don't think I'm very character driven with my books. It has to, like, you have to have high stakes and characters for me to, like, love it. But maybe I could read this summer. You see how thick this one is compared to this one? Like, if I get through this, then I gotta get through this. That just feels like a lot. But it sounds very, like, summery and kind of like the books I would like. Next we got Beneath the Scarlet Sky. This is a historical romance that's happening in Nazi Germany. He ends up being a spy and working very closely to Hitler. And I believe helping the good guys. And he falls in love, doesn't know what to do. If you saw in my first video, I finished Mockingjay. And my next book on that is The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. Can someone let me know if I need to read this before I read the newest one? Like, I know these are kind of extra to the series, but like, how important is this? Because I was told that this is Snow's story, and I don't know that I like that guy enough to read this many pages about him. Jeez, it's almost 500. No, it is 500. I didn't realize that. These books, I don't know how they make them so skinny, but they're longer than what I would expect them to be. So, next book in the Hunger Game, A Love Song for Ricky Wilde. I imagine those musicians in this. I picked it up because it's popular. And then here we go, talking about buying the entire series of stuff. I bought this first. I didn't know about the other ones, and then I started reading it, and then I was like, I feel like I'm missing things. So, I read the first one, which is why it's not here with me. But these are the next two. And this one, he owns a celebrity gym. She's burning out of her corporate marketing career. They fall in love. Actually, I think this might be fake dating. This one, okay. The way this opens up is he like talks about his whiskey business, and he's like, "You want to try some?" I don't know. I was really into it. He's a sexy Latinx man, and I like me a good sexy Latinx man. This is the Prima Sabao series. That's what they're called. The name of these. Next we have Saint X. I was about to say Satin X. What's Satin X? This is a thriller mystery situation. Happens in Los Angeles. That's why I picked it up. I'm from Southern California originally, and I really like it when authors like a kind of lyrical Hollywood description in book, just because it's like that. I know what that looks like. I read Heavenly Bodies. This is the next one in the series, Fallen Stars. I desperately need to get to this. Heavenly Bodies was so good, and it left off on such a cliffhanger. But also, I've heard really mixed reviews about this, and I'm kind of scared. Like, I wish I hadn't heard those and I could have gone into this blind, but fingers crossed. This kind of fits right here. I watched the Bridgerton series, and then I picked up Penelope's and Colin's story because it was a Friends to Lovers. And if you couldn't tell by the rest of the books I have, Friends to Lovers and Celebrity Romance are my two top favorite reads. Also, only that one. And I'm gonna be honest, now that I like have it, I'm like, am I gonna actually read it? I don't. Stephanie Global is my favorite author, so I picked up A Course for True Love. This is the third book in the series, but also I found it at TJ Maxx for $6, and I'll take a steal like that any day, even if it's not the book I need. Especially if I'm gonna read the series anyways. Okay, so I originally started my reading journey reading solely romance, and then I watched the Netflix show about there being a murder in the White House, and it's kind of Agatha Christie-esque. I watched that and I was like, I need a mystery book in my life right now. And since that was based off, like, had Agatha Christie elements, I was like, let me pick up an Agatha Christie. I'm gonna be honest. I think there's not enough happening in whole books for me to enjoy them. Maybe I picked up the wrong one. If you know of a really chaotic Agatha Christie book, let me know. I know she has a lot of them. But this one just like, I'm bored. But I also feel like I should read it because she's like one of the like older people and like it would be good. But I don't have any interest in picking it up. Where did I leave off? It's been bookmarked on page 114 for probably a year and a half now, so we got that. We have When the Moon Hatched. I have already read it. You can kind of see a couple tabs. But here's the thing is, despite me reading it, I wasn't like in it, but I really feel like this is a book I would love if I was in it. So I brought it with me so I can do a reread. And then after I reread this, I think I'm gonna go straight into The Ballad of the Falling Dragons so I can kind of get the whole story together. Also, look at these splayed edges. This book like released and it's so pretty. I'm gonna love them. I need a second to like get into it, you know? Also, like, I'm just starting my high fantasy journey. That was the first high fantasy book I ever read, and I was really struggling to wrap my mind around the world because it's like, this isn't like anything I've read before. Also, another really exciting thing about that series is I've heard that even though it's the middle book, The Ballad of the Falling Dragons, it's gonna be really good. I'm just gonna present these two, Ellen Hildebrand, together. I don't know what they're about. They seem similar. Also, the Ellen Hildebrand books, my mom was just giving away, and I was like, you know what? I guess I can try her out. What's the worst that happens, you know? The Midnight Feast, we kind of heard me talk about this in my first video, but they go to a brand new hotel. There's a fire, somebody dies. They want to know why they died. Next, we have The Nightingale. There's no cover to this, because that's the way we got it. But, set in the backdrop of World War I, World War II. I'm a little unsure. I don't have the blurb to let you know. And you kind of follow these women and how their life drastically changes as this war takes place. Things we do in the dark. This seems messy. It's a messy mystery thriller. Exactly what I want. I love me a messy mystery thriller. Let's see, does that fit? Check that out. You see that? You see Artemis. This is Andy Weir. I'm currently reading The Motion, so this will be the last book I have to read from him. I think she lives on Mars. A little bit of a thief, living her life. Ooh. I'm actually really excited. I think Artemis might, from the premise, I think it'll be my favorite. This next book, it was my birthday weekend. I was shopping, and I really wanted more dragon books. So I just googled dragon books. On Wings of Blood came up, and something about On Wings of Blood, it also has vampires. And I haven't read a vampire fantasy. Actually, I haven't read a vampire fantasy. I haven't read any good witch fantasies. So if anybody has probably almost like a classic kind of fantasy book that's not fairies, unless it's really good, really well done fairies, then you can give me fairies. But let me know. This next one, Lightfall. This is vampires, as I just talked about. I haven't read any books with vampires in them. The currency is kind of blood. The very powerful people drink the blood from the people down below. I think there's a magical school. The magic system is based on blood. Atmosphere by Taylor Jenkins Reid. I picked this up right after reading Project Hail Mary because I was like, I need more. I need more of whatever that was. Whatever sci-fi crack was put into that book, I need it now. So I immediately picked this up. I know this follows an astronaut. You see something really bad happen to her mission, and then you kind of follow the events that lead up to that. I also know that this is has LGBTQ representation, so I'm very excited about that. Next we have The Seventh Veil, Salome. This was also picked up on my birthday. It says a young woman wins the role of a lifetime in a film about a legendary heroine, but the real drama is behind the scenes in this scrumptious historical epic from the author of Mexican Gothic. She seems like such an interesting author, Sylvia Moreno Garcia. I think she's Latinx, which, as I've talked about before, I'm very interested in that. So I'm very excited about this. I've been I don't know what genre this is. I'm gonna be honest. And that's kind of what's making me hesitant to pick it up and why I haven't read it yet. Because when I first picked it up, I was like, that sounds so good. But now I'm a little scared. Another romance, 32 Days in May by Betty Carrillo. As I talked about, Summertime Punchline was one of my favorite books. I recently read her vampire romance, which if anybody needs a silly, goofy vampire romance, go pick up My Italian Vampire. Great stuff. Oh wait, I have read a book about vampires. That doesn't count though. That was... it really was silly, goofy vampires and not the world's ending vampires. This is about a woman who gets lupus and her life kind of starts falling apart. And then she goes back to the Jersey Shore and kind of finds herself again. This was just picked up in my last video I just posted, The Born Queen. She loses her empire and she has to ally with, I think, a tyrant. And he's a morally gray man, and it's a romantasy. We have the last contract of Isiko. An older woman is contracted for her last and final job, but it ends up being harder than what she realizes, so she befriends this guy, and they kind of start to realize how messed up the world they live in is, and try to fight the system. Start off no worlds. You start off, her mother is getting sold as a slave, and then she's like, take my daughter, she's more valuable. She gets sold for a really high price. That guy thinks she can never buy her freedom, and in the first couple chapters, you see her buy her freedom, and that guy's very mad about it. I've started reading this. I'm gonna reread it as a holdback because I feel like I'd enjoy it more. The Last Astronaut. I picked this up in my previous vlogs. It's a sci-fi horror. That's all I kind of gotta say about that. This is The Last Guest House. This is, those thrillers where it's everything's perfectly normal, everything's happy and go-lucky in this community, and then shit starts going haywire. That's this. I'm gonna go ahead and reorganize this and make it look pretty, and then show you guys what my final TBR cult looks like. Okay, time for the final TBR cult. We have all of my hardbacks. All of my hardbacks up top. Looking great, looking beautiful. And then we got a couple paperbacks right here. Just whatever fit. And also these tall paperbacks. And then this shelf down here is kind of miscellaneous, but I thought I'd turn the spines out so I can actually read what they are. And then this is... I'm trying not to show you guys because I'm going to talk about some books down here in the next video. But I guess as a little spoiler, a little heads up, we got those. But I decided to put the majority top two shelves just because they fit. Why not? I know most people keep this top shelf empty, but with all my holdbacks, I kind of feel like it's necessary to keep them up there because they don't fit on the lower shelves. So, thanks for watching, guys. This is my TBR cult. I had a lot of fun yapping about my books, and I'll see you guys later. Have a good day.